Yeah, welcome. So today we are going to be looking into um, functions and conditionals. So functions, you can think of you can I don't know, you can think of it as built-in functions in MySQL, and conditionals, how we do how we handle conditionals, if else, and all of that in MySQL in SQL. Now, what are functions? Functions are um across tools, softwares, languages. Functions are, you know, objects or things that has been built to perform a particular task, well-defined task, in a way where you don't have to repeat yourself whenever you want to get that thing done. For example, let's say we want to set up a function that greets people. So anytime we need to greet people, we don't have to rewrite the logic for greeting people. All we have to do is just take that function that we already have, pass in the arguments that the function needs to operate. Another name for that could be parameters. Then we'll pass that in, and we use that repeatedly without having to rewrite the logic for greeting people from scratch. So that is also what function is in MySQL. So something that some people have created, and we get the opportunity to use them whenever we have to solve problems that we know that they are capable of solving. And there are a few of them, there are like a lot of them. So we are not going to be covering every single one. But the flow that I found to work for me is um to go online on Google whenever I need a function for something. I just search MySQL function for doing this, and I just whip up the function, probably read a little about the way the function is structured, how it is expected to be used, what parameters goes into it, and all of that. But for the sake of this lesson, we are going to be looking at um, a few of them, just to show you how functions work generally. So we are going to start with string functions. So there are categories to functions. So we will look at a few of string functions, and we are going to be looking at the ones I can remember off of the top of my head. So we're going to look at concat. We're going to look at concat with separator. We're going to look at um, maybe length. We're going to look at lower, upper. I think if there's anyone that I remember, I mean, okay, this is five already. So let's just look at these ones then. If you ever need string functions for anything else, you can always look them up. Now, so let's take question one. One. So I'm going to write a query that returns the of full name and title of courtesy for each employee. So we're going to say select, and we could do title of courtesy, comma, first name, last name from employee. And I could do this, yeah. So um you see this, you see Miss Sarah Davis, Dr. Don Funk, Miss Judy Stuff, and we have three columns. So let's say we want to add all these three columns together. and make it just one column, all these text, so that Miss Davis, their full name is going to be in one column. That's what we can use concat and concat with separator for. So let's see how. Let's call this one method one. Method one. And how is that going to be? Let me just remove this whole thing so that I type it back from scratch so you see how to structure it. So we are going to call concat. And what do we want to concat? We want to concat title of courtesy will go first. Title of courtesy. Courtesy. You spell courtesy, I think, like this. Comma first name. And you're going to see something interesting here. If I say as full name, let's give it that. So if I run this, what comes out? Can you see? Although it actually like did what we want. So we have Miss Sarah Davis, but everything is now packed together without space. So what we can do is we can, manually add space here by passing in empty string here also. And if we should run this now, can you see we have Miss Sarah Davis, everything in the same column with space nicely formatted. So that's what we use concat for. But we could actually write this in a much more cleaner way with concat with separator. Since we know that we have consistent separator, just empty space is what separates title of courtesy from first name. It is also what separates first name and last name. So what are we going to do? What can we do? Let's see method two. We can use concat with separator for that. So we say select concat ws, and the first thing that goes into that is the separator, and we only have to declare it once. So it's just our way of saying, well, for everything that I pass in here, this is what should separate them. For every parameter that I pass in, separate it with this empty space. Say as full name from employee. Then we can run that. This says unknown column title of courtesy. So it's title of courtesy, like this, I guess. Just run that. Yeah. So we are here and we see that it is the same result as when we use ordinary concat. So the what's the difference between just concat and concat with WS? So this concat WS is useful, like particularly when you have a consistent separator. You expect the same thing to separate every single thing that you want to match together. But if that is not the case, if you expect comma somewhere, empty space somewhere else, and stuff like that, you probably want to use ordinary concat. So that's how we use concat to join two things together, two or more things together. So length, let's do write a query that returns the address of each employee and the number of letters of each customer and number of letters in those address. So you can say select. What are we selecting? Address. Let's check if customer really do have an address. Yes. It's either there's address, so we say select address. Then we do length. So the length won't help us to count the number of letters. It's a number of letters. It's going to be from customer. And if we run that, we see each of the addresses, we have the number of letters associated with each of those addresses. So that is the length function. That's what we use the length function for, to count the number of letters. So this is going to be 2. Then we can have three, which is which one? Let's check. Oh, this is actually two. Concat with speed is actually two. So the third one is going to be the fourth one is going to be the lower. So that is the fourth one really. Four and three. Lower method. So let's say write a query that returns the countries or the country of customers in lowercase. So everything comes back in lowercase and also in uppercase. Let's just do it in one soup like that. So we can say select to country, comma, upper country as, let's call that capital, lower country has um as what, lower from customer. If we run that, we see we get just the normal way the country is spelled, the country in all capital letters, the country in all small letters. So that is what upper and lower does. This upper function returns all capital, this lower function returns all lower values. So that's basically five examples of text function. Another function that we could look at in text, there are a few more of them. There are a lot of functions actually, but it depends on what you need at the point. And I used to always say that you don't really need to memorize functions because there are a lot of them, and you probably just want to use something that you know that solves the problem for you at the time. Let's just add one more to get this to five. I didn't list that at the top here. Substring is another popular one. Let's say we write a query that slices. What can we slice? Let's say maybe the country of each customer. So what we want to do is we want to actually get maybe the first two initials of a country. I don't know if we should call that initial, like the first two letters of a country. Let's rephrase that. We're going to write a query that returns the first two letters of each customer country. So how do we do that? We are going to be using substring. So let me go up here and add it here. That's another text function, substring, and excuse me. Yeah, perfect. So how does that work? Where is it? So the way that works is we come to this place and we say select substring, perfect. And what substring takes is, firstly, it takes the text I want substring, which is country. Second argument that goes into that is the start position, where we want it to start from. So we can say start from position one, stop at position two, And I can say as country initial. I don't know. Let's call it that. Then let's actually get the country also so that you see how it has sliced it. Then you say from customer. Then if we run that, we get from Germany we get just GE. From Mexico we get just ME. From UK we get just the whole UK. Then Sweden is SW. So basically passing the string that you want to cut, where you want to start cutting it from, and um how many things you want it to return. So yeah, that is substring for you. And if you are coming from other programming languages like Python, indexing does not start from zero, it starts from one. Right. So that is text functions for you. So the next group of functions that we're going to be looking at is going to be the date and time function. Some people call it time intelligence. Let's say date time functions. So we are going to be looking at a few of them, which is, let me put it on the next line, which is going to be date diff, now, year, month name, last day. I mean, do we already have five? I guess we already have five. Okay. Let's add maybe date format. Date format. Because year and month name are almost like not a big deal like that. So let's check. We're gonna say six. Write a query that returns the the waiting days for each orders. So basically, waiting days is going to be, when, okay, let me show you this. You say select order ID, order date, and shipped date from sales order. Now if we run this now, you are going to see this item was ordered on the you know 4th of July 2006, and it was shipped 16th of July. So what we want to see is the difference between these 2 days. That's the waiting is like how long the order was in waiting before it was finally shipped. So we can come here, and how can we get something like that? We can say comma. Let's go to the next line. Date diff. That's what we use date diff to do to get the difference between two dates. So we start with the larger one to other date. I usually mess this thing up a lot of times. So, but if you do, you're going to see negative. So you just flip it, and you're going to be fine. And you're going to see what I mean shortly. So as waiting this, so if we run this, right? So this is perfect. The larger one starts first, and we saw that this order was supposed to be shipped. Was ordered 4th July, went out 16th July. So add 12 waiting days. Another interesting thing that we can do is that we have shippers, right? We have shipping companies. Yeah, shippers with their company name. And our sales order table, we have the shipper ID, something to link that to those two tables together. Do we have that? Yeah, we have shipper ID. Yeah, we have shipper ID. So what we can do is we can actually check. Let's do that. Let's write another query on that here to just see why this is so nice. So 7, I'm gonna say write a query that returns the shipping performance of each shipping company. Show the number of orders sent by the shipping company, the freight charged on average, and the average waiting period within days. So I want to see how long does it take in average for each of the shipping company. What do they charge in average freight, and the number of orders we've given to that particular shipping company. So we say select s dot company name sh dot company name. Good. We're going to say count order ID as number of orders, that is number of orders that they've shipped. Second one is going to be to get the average freight. So we are missing a comma here. Average freight as average freight. Then you can get the last one, which is going to be average of waiting period. So we say average of date diff, average of date diff, and it is going to be the larger one, comma the smaller one, as, so we need to close this bracket, as average waiting period. Days. It's going to be from where? From sales order as S, join shipper as sh on sh dot shipper id equals s dot shipper id. Then we need to group. So group by sh dot company name of the company, and we need to order. So order it by average waiting days, and it's going to be in ascending order. Average waiting days, right? So that should sort it. If there's an error, we'll fix that. Yeah, we're here. So we see that this shipping company SHISN is the best performing shipping company in terms of average waiting days. It only takes them 7.4 days to ship out. They charge 80 in average freight, $80, and they've shipped for us 255 times. These other guys have shipped for us 249 times. They are cheap. They are like way cheaper in compared to the other guys, 65, and they take just, I think, over 1 day more on average to deliver. Then there is these guys that take majority of our orders, 326. They cost the, like, they are the most expensive, and they take the most days on average. So that is like a very nice application of that. Very nice application. So yeah, now I'm just not going to go too much on now. So Let's say let's check employee table. We see date of birth. So let's say we want to get the the length of service of each employee because there is higher date. So we can say write a query that returns the length of service of employee sorted from the oldest to the latest. Now we can say select. Now the first I want to show you is if you say select higher date, I'm going to be combining a lot of functions in this case, just so that we can move quickly. Employee, if we do this and run select higher date, it's going to return the higher date of each employee like this. So one thing I can do is I can actually get only the year. There are a lot of things here: date, time, month, year, all of that. So I can say select year. The year function is also a time function. If I run this, it extracts out only the year that that person was employed. And that's what I could do is I could do select now. There's a function called now, and what now returns is the current time, current date time, right? So so you see that it's returning the same thing, which is the time that we are in. Today is 17th May 2025, and this is the time currently. So now I could actually do year of that minus um year of higher date, and this is going to, I'm going to say, as length or service length, like how long they've served in this company. So if we run that, we get, majority of them as they've spent 23 to 21 years, all of that. So you can come here and say, get their name, first name, comma, last name, space, comma, go to the next line. So this returns each of their name and how long they've served, right? Then we probably don't even need to order that; it already comes sorted, but just add order by, and we're going to be ordering by service length in descending order. Perfect. So that solves the question. And another thing you could probably get is how old were these people when they were hired, right? So you could do that. Yeah. So that is, we saw year function here. We also saw now function. Let's see any other function that we haven't touched so far. And that is going to, we've seen now date, div, year. Let's look at month name. Then after that, we look at this. So what does month name do? This is 7, so this is going to be 8. So let's use month name. Month name basically just returns the name of the month, but we are going to see it in a very nice query. So write the query that returns our revenue performance on monthly basis in 2007. So I can say select month name of order date from sales order, just to build it out from scratch for you. So if we run that, it returns each of, okay, we have an error. It says month name like this is not correct. So that's true. So we see that each of the month we have, for each other date, we have that But what we actually want to see is we want to see comma revenue. So revenue is going to be some unit price, which is coming from other detail actually, multiplied by quantity as revenue. There's going to be from sales order as S, join other detail as O on on O dot order ID equals S dot order ID. Perfect. So we need to group. We're going to group by. Let's give this one an alias, say as months. You can take this to the next time. So we say group by months. Oops. Let's return that. And maybe we should just sort it in descending order of revenue. Order by revenue, DSC. Then we actually forgotten something. It says in 2007, it has to be yes, 2007. And from what we learned in date ranges, then probably do where date between, but we don't need to do that. We just need to say where year of order date equals 2007 like this. So since we know that we can use year to extract year from the full date. So let's see that. If we run this, it says unknown column quantity try. So this spelling of quantity is wrong. Let's run that again. Now we see for each of the uh month in 2007 we have the revenue. So we have 77k in December. December is our best performing year, and that makes sense. Then October, well, because of the holidays, you know, October 70k, then January, yeah, that's a surprise, 66k. Then June is very, very, very low. So yeah, that is how you would do something like that. That's an application for month name and all of that. Month name. And the last thing we're going to be looking at is, okay, let's look at date format. Date format and last day. Let's look at last day first. Last day. So we are going to come here and say, I think this is query number 9. So I'm just going to show you an application for last day. When you return, that's going to be 10. Say return all the orders sold on last day of the month. So I'm going to say select. Let's see order ID. Then let's actually return the order date so that we see that we are correct. Then last day of order date is our last day or last underscore day. Last day order from sales order. So if we run this function last day, so it's last underscore day. So we see now that we have the last day of that particular order. So we see that for the last day order for this particular first order is what 2006 0731. So then if you check other ones 1031, that is for the month of August and all of that. So we could just specify and say where order date, where order date, order date. Why do I keep equals last day, last underscore day, last underscore the other date, like this. Perfect. So we look at that. So we see that these are like the orders that were sold on the last day of the month. So let's take the next one, and it's going to be the one we take in this particular session. In the next one, we are going to look at uh, other functions, which is going to be numeric functions. Then we look at conditionals also. So 11, date format. Just show you how date format works. So for example, I say select, and I go date format, then I go order date. Actually, I'm going to let me also get order date normally to show you the difference. So here I can say the format that I want this to be in is, month, year, and the day, something like that. So I could do something like this, then say percentage, but you just go percentage year first, like this, and run, say from sales order, and run that. I get just the year alone. So I say I want percentage month, like this. I get just the month alone, just like month name. Then if I say I want percentage year and month, let's say percentage, excuse me. Let's say I want percentage month and percentage year. Sorry, percentage year, like that. And I run this. I have July 2006. Then I could go, I want day also, percentage day. Then run that. And I could, so it's July 2006 fourth, and I could, delimit it with this. And yeah, I want to do it. So I get July 2006 fourth. So basically, this is what we use date format. So like get more flexibility on how we want to present a date variable. So on that note, that is where we're going to stop. Let me give you an exercise to work on, and we meet in the part two of functions and conditionals. So I'm going to write a query that returns the number, the employees responsible for the most late orders, for the most number of late orders in 2007, and the average lateness day. So average lateness day, that is the average number of um, day they always take to deliver order late. So thank you very much. I'm going to see you in the part two of this one. Take care of yourself. Bye.